You're on.
Yeah, looks like we're on.
We are.
We are on. Why is it, Deb, that I can't see myself? Oh, now I can. That's great. Technical. So, gosh, I'm excited to be here actually with you, Deb. You. It's exciting times.
It is exciting, and it's fun to do this impromptu gathering.
Yeah. And you look like you're in Hawaii, of course. Which, you know, the weather here in the UK, we had amazing weather, and then all of a sudden we've got lots of rain, stormy seas, and last night just enough was we had our little boats, our full moon boats that we made out of egg boxes and little paper, what do you call them, sails, to sail away whatever we needed to sail away that we were going to let go of in the full moon, and whatever we wanted to bring in. And we put them into the sea, and it was hilarious because they just got demolished in a second. Whereas if we'd have been able to take them on a day when it was a calm mill pond, it would have been fun. But yeah, it's just a kind of reflection, isn't it, of what is going on in the world. You know, we have some days that are full of sunshine and other days that are very stormy. And I think we came together, didn't we, because we just really wanted to speak about what's going on in the world from a higher perspective. And I think it's very much needed, isn't it? You know, that we have to think from a higher perspective now.
I so agree with you. I think that we need to move forward, because that was part of the transformation that happened, the ascension that I believe happened in a big way in April. And that we need to keep going higher and checking in with source to understand how to move forward in this.
That's the key, isn't it? To keep checking in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that's it. I mean, I speak to my groups, I'm sure you do as well, and your clients, and we're blessed because we get to check in every day of the week. You know, we are blessed because of that, because it's what we teach. But I can't imagine how it is when people are not feeling that they're supported, or not feeling that they have that connection to source, or that connection to their guides, or their own inner guidance, in fact, you know, where they can really feel there's a massive support there. And we do have to keep checking in. I mean, you know, definitely even myself, you know, I went out to the supermarket this afternoon and I found out the news in the UK that from the 15th of June, everyone going out to a supermarket or to any shop has to wear a mask. And I'm like, you know, that was something 3D reality for me. And I'm human, right? and it's like those little moments of thinking, oh my goodness, something outside of me has control over me. Okay. When from a higher perspective, we know that we are all part of consciousness and all part of the unified field of light, aren't we? So we're all one. And yet the world is, you know, just incredible, isn't it? In the sense that we're being shown all this stuff about ourselves. I suppose I like to say all this stuff about ourselves.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, you know, we have to wear masks here too in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Going to the store. So it's not just in the UK. And you know, part of me believes that I'm safe and I don't have to wear a mask. But I do it because other people are scared.
Yes.
And it's just kind of my way of being respectful. I've been to a few places where people don't have masks on, and then I don't wear a mask. It's kind of like feeling the attitude of wherever I am. The more rural we go in where I live in Pennsylvania, there's a much more lax attitude.
Okay.
But so there is so much coming up inside of all of us right now.
Wow.
For more clearing.
Constantly clearing. I mean, you know, that's just such a great point, because we're constantly clearing. We just had this amazing full moon eclipse. Well, we're in the eclipse now, but we had the amazing full moon. And, you know, a lot of my students in groups, they're all having headaches. I had a headache last night and I was like, wow, it's a nice healing peak, a nice shift going on, you know. So we know that there's big transformations happening all the time, and to recognize that as a really good thing, but to constantly keep looking at what is that, you know, what part of me is showing up, what frustration, what anger, what, you know, part of me isn't loving myself. And I think that's massively key, isn't it, to taking responsibility, you know, for what's showing up.
I think you're right. And I talked to you the other day about so much cognitive dissonance coming up inside myself, and looking at what is this all about? And then
explain that for people that don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's about having opposing views within yourself. And it could be more than 2 views. It could be 3 or 5 about the same topic. I mean, it could be as simple as thinking something like, I don't want to eat meat anymore, but I love to eat meat. And so you have these opposing forces inside of you, that one's saying, I don't want to do this anymore. And the other one's going, I don't want to give it up. And so it feels like 2 opposing forces coming head to head. And so I've had that come up with patterns, belief patterns that need to be broken. And then, but
everyone has. I mean, we're not alone. And just because we work, you know, and help people and support people and a therapist of some sort, it doesn't mean that we have done it all. You know, that's part of the journey of expansion in life, isn't it? Of having the human form this time. It's part of the journey.
I think part of what I'm really sinking in is, how do I look at things more as a fun opportunity than go like, oh my God, not this again. Right?
Yeah. And that's why we called it, you know, why I titled it Fun and Frolics, because I just thought, you know, actually, what should I call it? And then that came to me was, let's have some fun and frolics, because, you know, Source and your beautiful guides and my beautiful guides and everyone's beautiful guides, really all they want for us is just to have that experience of joy, don't they? And for them, well, we are them, they are us, but for them, the sense I get actually very much through my channeling and speaking to them is that they're really happy about what's going on. I mean, you know, to me, that this is all part of the bigger plan, you know, that what's happening is really good. And yet from a 3D reality perspective, if you're listening to this, whoever's listening to this, it doesn't always feel like that, because some people are sick and not here on the planet anymore. And, you know, there are many people that probably will leave. And so that seems a difficult journey to go on. And yet they seem to think, well, it's all how it was supposed to be, really, you know, how it was all supposed to be. And we're just riding the wave of what's happening. And I suppose it depends on how big we think our boat is. Do we feel we're supported in our boat, or are we in this little tiny dinghy, you know, being thrashed around like my little boats last night on the sea?
Yeah. I think that, and it's important that collectively, even as light workers, that we hold on together, because whatever's going on, we just keep needing to go higher. connecting with source, and really, really actually standing in your divine authority, really standing in who you are, the truth of who you are, as role models for other people.
Yeah.
And it's strengthening our faith in what we're taught, right?
Yeah.
We're taught all of these amazing things from the divine of who we are and what's really going on. And we get a chance to practice it every day. Is that, can I be faithful to what I'm hearing and just know that everything's in divine order?
Yeah. And that's, that might feel really hard for people to hear, that everything's in divine order. My goodness. And I know definitely when I go to the supermarket and I'm told I have to wear a mask, for me, it doesn't feel like a good thing. So I have to come into remembering that it's all fine, it's all in divine order, and that whatever, I always feel protected, always feel safe, never ever fear anything. I really don't. But that's the kind of annoyance I suppose I have. And my background, you know my background, but my background is very researchy and sciencey because of the spiritual science part of me. And I just, because I know quite a lot about disease and I know quite a lot about our bodies, and that's, my background is looking at that I just, that's why I think I find it harder, because I know that isn't what it's all about. So if I didn't know that was what it was all about, it might be easier, but because knowledge is knowledge is one of those things, isn't it? It's like the more knowledge you have, you're supposed to have more power. So knowledge is power, but it's only power because it gives you that feeling of, I don't know what I want to say, but maybe that feeling of connection and to feeling that you can make informed choices. But perhaps we're not able to make those choices, and that might be what might be difficult for people, is that choice, and definitely for myself, that choice appears to seem that it is taken away, but of course it's never taken away.
No, you're so right. You're so right. It's never taken away. And this is part of my cognitive dissonance too, because those thoughts are all part of it as well. And so this is such a great topic, because you're talking about feeling frustration with, okay, I know that we're safe, I know I'm not sick, I know nothing outside of me controls me, and so that's why I said, is like, I don't feel the need to wear a mask. However, it makes other people feel comfortable. And I do it out of respect. And then I'm also doing it out of a choice, rather than feeling I've been victimized and told what to do.
Yes, so you've turned it around. But maybe underneath you're thinking, which might be me in like a couple of weeks' time, you might be thinking, I'm doing this, like a bit inside grumbling.
Yeah, so that's part of the cognitive dissonance. And so there's some people out there that don't put a mask on at all. I've seen people in the grocery store, even with the sign saying you need to go in without it, but nobody's like enforcing it.
Okay, so it's not enforced. Okay.
Well, I think there's a fear level of approaching people. I think there's also a fear level of approaching people and saying, hey, you need to wear a mask in here, otherwise you're out. So that, I haven't been seeing that. And then, of course, we've read things in the news that when people were approached, they didn't handle it well. So there's all this fear that compiles of speaking your truth, asking for what you need, but that we go through this saying, well, I'm making a choice to wear it, or I'm making a choice not to wear it. Either way, that it's not like you're a victim. You make choices, and then of course there's either a consequence or no consequence for your choice. It is what it is. But I go through those same thinkings with like say I have to take medicine, right, for certain issues that I've been diagnosed with over the years. And so I look at the pill box and I go, I know none of this is true. Why am I taking these pills, right? Or in the past, Jesus worked on me with me to stop taking certain medicine for something, and it scared the hell out of me not to take the medicine. So what I got to see is that there's a part of me
Yeah.
that was still very afraid and believed that I needed it. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I was very upset and scared about stopping that medicine. And so I did it out of wanting to be um, honoring to what Jesus asked me to do. And so I stopped it. And of course, what's happened is my condition had gotten worse. And I
Yeah.
just kept watching it get worse and watching it get worse. And I'm like, okay, I need to go back on this medicine.
Yeah.
And it was really learning how to have love for your humanity that has not caught up with your learning, your
Yeah.
divine learning.
Your true knowing, kind of
Yeah.
like almost like, you know, what I say to people that, you know, perhaps want to get off medicine, and we have to sort of do a disclaimer here that neither of us are doctors, you know, not medical doctors anyway. And so we need to say that. But what I found is quite often when I've worked with people that have taken medication is for them to just imagine it as light. So with chemotherapy, with whatever it might be, because I never would say to someone, don't take medicine, because that's just not my body, you know, it's someone else's healing journey. But I found that when people imagine it as beautiful, life-giving, pure light or sparkling light, quite often with the chemotherapy, is that it just transforms that perception of something going into my body that is perhaps not perceived to be the best or whatever, you know, toxic or whatever it might be, especially with chemotherapy. So there's quite a lot, there's a school of thought, isn't there, around that it's poison. And I think a lot of people feel that, definitely. Right. So if we can shift that consciousness and kind of what you were saying about Jesus giving you that information, so he was shifting your consciousness because you already knew that. But it's the human form and all the sets of beliefs and past lives and all that stuff and epigenetics and everyone else's thoughts all gets embedded, or let's just say held as a perception vibrationally. So we need to kind of shift that just on a little tiny weeny level first, don't we? So the first thing I find is that if you imagine it as light, like as you open your pill box or you whatever you've got to have, and if people are listening to this and they, you know, are taking medication, then just still take the medication, but just imagine it as light and imagine that you're healing your body. And so it might be worth a try, you know, to think of it that way.
Sure.
And yeah. And yeah, and I suppose because it's the same with water, isn't it? Like, you know, I bless my water and my food. So if you imagine blessing your water and the cat's water and the dog's water and the budgie's water. So it's just a natural thing that I do is every time I give water, I bless it, you know, just in my mind. But I imagine it with light in it. So I think we can actually change anything. Yeah. So that's a conversation we hadn't even thought of having, but I suppose it was an important one. And it's also about judgment, isn't it? So, you know, there's a huge amount. I find myself judging the whole mask thing and the whole, you know, thing. I find myself in my human judgment. And so there's a lot of judgment as well around medication. There's a lot of judgment around people's choices to smoke, not smoke, eat, whatever they want to eat, isn't there? So it's that judgment part of ourselves, isn't it, that we have to let go of.
Yeah. And then all the fear that comes around with it, like now we're not supposed to touch anybody, or you're worried about what you touch, or give somebody a hug, or it's really very interesting. All of what we're experiencing right now, and constantly having to connect with a much higher way to
communicate.
communicate and view these things. And And so I love what you're saying about looking at things as light, because that's all there is light. There's nothing else that exists but light. So I don't know, can we put our mask on and say, I'm putting light on my face?
I just don't know, really. I mean, it's just it's interesting though, because the way we see people, you know, as I'm looking at you, I'm looking at your face and I'm connected with your energy anyway. And I think it would be really weird to have a conversation where I put, and do you know what's coming to me? It's quite interesting. Is I mean, if people haven't watched us before in our work, we channel source and our guidance and work as therapists actually. And so what's coming to me is that it's interesting how when someone's in shock, and this is just coming to me and I hadn't thought about it, they put their hand over their mouth. And the other thing is that when people are quite conscious of their body, or they're quite unconfident, people will touch their face quite a lot, won't they?
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder what that's about. So it's like we're like that. We put our hand up. Oh my goodness, I don't want to hear that, or I don't want to see that, or I don't want to hear what that person said, or I'm stopping myself. I wonder what that's about. Like when people are wearing masks.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like stopping I don't actually know where I'm going with this, but there's something here that I feel is important.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like showing people in shock.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel?
That's an interesting point. I think, it's really funny. What came to me while you were talking is different perspectives of where you are on the planet and what it means to cover your face, because there's women right in the Middle East that keep their face covered, but that is all the time. So it's like wearing a mask sort of all the time, covering your face, and they don't have an issue with it.
Apparently they don't have an issue with it.
They don't have an issue.
But that's a control thing. I mean, I don't want to get too political or anything, but that is a control thing, isn't it? Way, because it's obviously religion, it's a belief, and I'm sure some women are fine with it, but I would imagine that most aren't. And I know someone who lives in Dubai, and he told me that when the women get on the plane that are wearing, because they just take them off, and underneath is a beautifully made up woman, and they've got their Chanel suits on, and they're just, and he said they look so alive when they take that off. Isn't that amazing? So yeah, I think, what are we doing? Are we being, what is it to wear a burqa or something? What is it to wear that? Why is that there? To cover somebody's opinion, thoughts.
And other thoughts are flowing up, like everybody's wearing a mask anyway, right? Most people wear a mask. We've all worn masks, and part of the spiritual journey is stripping away the mask, right?
I know, that's a really good point.
Or how do we connect? Can we connect in on a deeper level into feeling people's energies without seeing facial expression?
Yeah. Right? Which we can do in our work. I love to see people when I work like this, but we could do it without, and quite often we do it without the video on groups, don't we? That's a really good point. And yet we can still connect with the energy of that person. Yeah. So is it that we are being finely tuned? I much prefer this. This is a much nicer idea than the mask thing. Yeah, I hope other people are enjoying this. Perhaps they can comment. But so we're being finely tuned. I get a lot of clapping. Okay, so we're being finely tuned to know that we can connect and communicate on a level that is not human. I like that. So is it tuning up our senses, our higher senses, so that, I prefer to think of it that way. That's a really nice way of thinking about it, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And it's really all these perspectives are just kind of shooting out. But it is a much higher way of looking at how do I connect with somebody's heart space and not determine whether I want to connect with them or not based on what's behind their mask.
I mean, that is, I think a few of my monthly group call are watching this, and I think there'll be message. I can't see any messages here, but because I'm not on my Facebook feed as I'm looking at it, but perhaps you can, Deb. But
Sure.
I would say that I bet a lot of them are really smiling about this, because it's a really fascinating way to look at it, because if we can see past that, and what the words I was getting as well was, I see you. And this, what came up in something the other day was, into me I see, which is intimacy. So into me I see. So it's really coming within, we know that at this time, but to actually communicate with another person from the heart space, from the heart field, really, and actually see them without seeing them. It's like, that's so cool, isn't it?
It is. Maybe we are getting fine-tuned into using our spiritual eyes, our spiritual heart,
Our inner
rather than our human senses.
I'm going to get my Facebook and see if anyone's got any questions. I've just got my phone here.
You have
got anyone
on saying hi? Somebody saying, Sharon says she agrees.
Yeah.
Somebody said, good topic on wearing masks, giving you another alternative, to look at the situation is maybe it's fine-tuning all your spiritual muscles to stop. If somebody's got a mask on, maybe you don't judge as much of what their face looks like. I mean, most people are judging all kinds of things, but physical appearance, but starting with the face, because our faces give away a lot.
And maybe the mouth is about the communication from the perspective of speech. So what is it about? I mean, maybe we're being fine-tuned to not speak physically. I mean, there are many children that communicate without. I mean, my son does this. He says, but mummy, I just answered you. And I said, but darling, you didn't answer me. And he said, but I did answer you. And he literally thought he'd answered me because he'd done it telepathically. And quite often he does communicate like that, right? So, and he's 11. So is it possible that we're going back to, I'm saying going back, so for those that don't believe in past experiences, that's fine, but I believe that we've been everything. And so I believe that we definitely have communicated by just thought alone and by telepathic experience alone. So maybe we're igniting that in our DNA. What do you think?
I think that's a really awesome idea, because I think that's what's going on anyway, because there's only one consciousness, and we share each other's thoughts because we're one mind, and so you're always broadcasting your thoughts out. I love doing this with my husband. He's always answering back. Like I'll think of something and he walks in and says it, or all of a sudden he's like, oh, do you want me to make you eggs or something like that? And I was just thinking, I hope
and see that.
I hope Brian can make me some eggs. And here he comes in and says, would you like that?
The same with emails. Like if you're thinking of someone or a message, or you're thinking of someone and all of a sudden they pop up, and it's because they've connected with you on that moment, and you've connected with them, right?
Yes.
So
you put it out there and you're getting a reflection back of your own consciousness coming back to you. So to learn how to really you know, we do that with our guides.
Yeah, so why can't we
And
do and mediumship as well? And I've just suddenly thought about, like, when loved ones come in, and I do mediumship, they are, when I teach mediumship, I am saying to people, it's like a telepathy, because I'll see them, they'll describe themselves, but they'll be speaking to me, but they obviously won't be speaking to me. So it's a telepathy of knowing exactly what the conversation is. So that is really interesting. What we're talking about here.
yeah,
because we're doing it all the time then, right?
we're doing it all the time.
Just don't, but we've got so used to spelling, and that's one of the things I like, is like all our words are spells, aren't they? They're vibrational spells.
Vibration of spells.
Well, they are spellings. Why do we call things spellings? Well, because they hold a vibration.
Yeah.
But could we come away from language? What do you think? Maybe.
I don't know. I think it serves a purpose for us here. I mean, that's why we write books. That's where, you know, all the things that we do, language serves a purpose. It serves a purpose in so many ways of connection. And it also serves a great purpose in connecting to the light and who you are, and sharing that with others. I think it's just kind of part of this earth experience. That language.
It'd be quite funny to sit here and not say anything. We could do that. We could connect there, but we could just telepathic silence.
Yeah.
It might be quite a boring conversation on live stream, right?
Yeah.
For some people.
It certainly would, but you know, I think it's really honing into really understanding that we are, you want to call it tapping into somebody, but you're really tapping into your own consciousness, because there's only one mind. So you're hearing all of your thoughts outside of you coming back towards you.
And that's really important, isn't it? So that and it's really important to say that if you're being unkind to another, let's say, then you're probably being very unkind to yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when I was talking about the cognitive dissonance, then I start seeing it on the outside in relationships. And I'm like, why is this going on? Why am I feeling this? And I'm like, I am seeing all the players in my head that are going against each other happening outside in my relationships. And it is me getting a view, is a projection, a mirror outside of what is going on in my internal dynamic. So so on another level, we could look at that. Well, what does the masks mean? What does that on an internal dynamic mean for all of us that we're seeing people wearing masks? What does that tell us about our internal dynamic?
Yeah. So what is it we need to hide from? What are we trying to hide away from, maybe? Because when you think of robbers, like in the sense of somebody who wants to hide because they might be robbing a bank, let's just give that, perception, then they cover their face so that they can't be recognized, and they cover their head so they can't be recognized. So what would it be about us not wanting to be seen for who we are, maybe?
It could be.
And I'm very aware not to say them and us, because 3D reality, there's the government, there's this, there's those, there's this, but dimensional who we are is everything. So what am I projecting? What are you projecting where we don't want to be seen? And what is this about the riots that are going on? I don't even know if they're in the UK, but I would imagine they will be at some point. But I looked at it and I'm like, what is this? Well, it's a huge amount of fear, obviously, and a huge amount of anger, but what's that representing for us all? Where is it within us?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that's more of the cognitive dissonance that's inside of us. So I can look at it and say, if I'm at war within myself because I haven't learned how to be harmonious with all the different aspects of myself that have different viewpoints. Be a mom, and like these aspects are your children, and they're fighting. And instead of, and it's about learning how to bring love to all of that, to harmonize inside of yourself. But when you're at war inside yourself with all of these different thoughts and beliefs and fears, then it gives rise up outside of yourself to see your internal dynamic and it's always in an explosive way. It's always in a magnified way to get your attention. And so I would think that, just going through the virus situation created a lot of different cognitive dissonance in people about whether there's fear about getting sick or being told what to do or being shut in and not being able to connect with the people they love physically. And so I would imagine that it gave the whole situation with the virus created all of this angst, plus other things that needed to get cleared out.
Absolutely.
That it just rose up, and now you see the war that's inside of yourself that you're not always aware of what's happening. You don't know what's happening inside of you because we've spent so much time like either suppressing stuff or keeping ourselves busy so we don't listen to the pain that's going on inside of ourselves. And nobody's really taught us how to be harmonious with our energy inside when it's diverse, when it's different, and you have different aspects coming together to say, well, I like this and I like that, and none of it's making sense, and there's no collaboration.
And the thing that's coming to me about that is the noise. When there's so much noise in our body and in our mind, then it's easier to have the TV on or the radio on or something that is energetic noise. So perhaps it's the watching of the news the whole time, energetic noise, bringing up the fear, bringing up all of those thoughts. And it sometimes that makes somebody almost feel at home because of the feelings that they have inside. And there's no judgment with that, but just saying that maybe if people are watching a lot of the news, I suppose it's maybe looking at what do you get from that? What is it? Does it make you feel a little bit less anxious or more anxious or more, and in a way, if it makes you feel more anxious and more angry, then that's the work, isn't it? That's the bit of you that where the work is, where the healing needs to take place. Yeah. So what do you feel about, or what do you and lovely team feel about this whole thing about the vaccination thing? It's like something that will cure the world.
Well, I don't get a lot of
and obviously I don't feel it's going to cure the world, but
I don't get a lot of feedback about that. In fact, what I'm told is like I shouldn't even talk about it. Virus, that I leave it in 3D and it's not coming with us into
higher dimensional,
higher level of consciousness. So I don't really even hear anything about a vaccine. And I think what I'm being guided to do for myself is just stay in faith, know that everything's under control and everything will come together. And how do you trust that without having the knowledge? Can you just trust it without all the knowledge?
It's massive trust, isn't it? you know. So I wonder what this is all about, you know, and I you know, in the sense of the key thing, isn't it, is trust. Like I there's probably nothing else, is there, when you think about it? It's our connection to source, our connection to who we are, remembering who we are, and our pure trust in everything that happens in your life. So how do we get to that place where, and it's a kind of rhetorical question, because how do we get to that place where we can walk about the world and totally, I'm pretty much there, right? But totally trust everything. I totally trust my guides. I totally trust my connection to source. And I totally trust I'm safe always, right? But when we can get into this 3D reality of everybody else's emotions that bring up emotions, how can we fully stay in that trust? You know, it's like, it's oscillating.
It is. I was saying that the other day. I feel like I have one foot in my divine consciousness, which is all there is, and then the other foot is still dangling in 3D illusion, and watching myself waffle back and forth. And it's really the experience. It's because really we're not waffling anywhere. We are spirit. That's it. But you feel like you are here having this experience, and it feels so real. So I'm like, how do I get both of my feet into what I've been taught, and into faith and trust? And that is, I think, the whole process of the journey is believing what we take it in intellectually, but then believing it in your heart. Like there's stages, like you're talking about, that you trust completely, and I trust God and Jesus completely, and I trust that I'm safe. But then, here comes some little trigger that goes, well, guess what? I'm going to make you feel like you're not really safe.
I know.
Question your trust in and I think it's just part of the process of walking your path and staying steady, and knowing who you are, and staying in that place as much as you can. And when you waffle, you just gracefully let go and come back to love again. And this has been a huge lesson for me. I love this mantra I was given a couple weeks ago. It is, I gracefully let go with the power of love, for in the light I trust and have faith. And I have to say that to myself every day, because there's something that happens usually in a day-to-day life that makes me go, what is this now? What is this? Where did this come from? How did I create it? Why? You know? And so what God's constantly saying, I need to let go. It's like we're already free, but we won't take that in 100%. We won't take it in because the physical experience keeps shining something else on, that we start questioning and going, oh, well, and get sucked into.
And the question is, why did we make a decision to come back this time? One of the things I like to do is, and I do it with my kids as well, is I'm fully aligned with my consciousness, mind, body, soul, freedom. And it's just a real easy thing. And then I do the Earth Star and the Soul Star, which, you know, I do a lot with people. And knowing that you're connected to Earth and connected to Source, that you are just completely in that channel. And yeah, I think we all find a little thing, don't we, that we use. And I'm also constantly clearing my energy field as well. So you know, many times I will just say to Creator, I'll just say, Creator, all that is, you know, clear any waywards, watchers, entities, anything from my field. Yeah, and I know I teach my groups that as well, because I think it's really important, because not that from a place of fear, but from a place of keeping that clarity, because obviously the veil is very thin, and it's thinner now because we're going into a series of eclipses, and you know, this beautiful full moon experience that we had, which was really powerful just now. And I think one of the things that sometimes triggers me is the children thing, not my own children necessarily, but when I hear of children that are in fear, and children that are responding not from their pure knowing 100%, but from the external environment of parents and carers and schools and everything else. And one of my lovely friends, and who is on my monthly group call, Zoe, told me about a little girl who, she was just out in the street, and this little girl hid from her and was absolutely terrified. And that's a really difficult thing to hear, but what it led me to do was to decide, because my background was in child protection for many years, working with trauma, so it made me realize that now is the time to actually do some more work with children. And so I'm actually tomorrow night at 8 o'clock UK, kind of about this time, I'm doing a free talk for parents and carers and teachers, which is a question and answer with a view to running some, you know, meditation healing groups with kids on a donation basis, basically, so it's for everybody. Because I really feel that we need to help children. They're our next generation, our next thought leaders, our next whatever, and parents, of course, next parents. And so I just thought, if it's like half an hour that they sit and they have fun with magic wands and stars, and you know, and they kind of have fun for half an hour, that they come into that place of remembering who they are, because they 100% know who they are. 100%, and they're probably more advanced than we ever are, and we ever will be, you know. And it's just, I want to see those kids, you know, in their pure potential. So it triggered, and I was like, oh, actually, there's always a good thing that comes from a contrast, isn't there? You know, so that happened. That allowed me to listen to what my guides were probably telling me, which was my wake-up call in the morning in the shower. Oh, this is what you need to do. Okay, I'll do it. So that, and lots of people are going to be getting that, aren't they, over the world? You know, I'm sure. And I feel like I want to say to you, the next book for you. Like, I know you've written loads of books. I've written one. You've written loads. And I feel like there's another one coming for you. Is that right? It's like, it's a pure channel.
Yeah, it's another one's been started. I do love what you're saying, because how parents, you know, parenting when you're not awake, it makes it difficult. Although I also know that's in divine order too, that everything, each person is being guided on their own individual journey. But part of our job as light workers is waking people up and trying to help children stay awake rather than go to sleep is a big deal. So I really love what you're doing, and I think it's so important.
So important. Yeah, I really feel it. And I mean, that's tomorrow night, so if anyone's listening to this and they want to join me, it's free. Come on, and we've just gone to my newsletter. Actually, you'll find it all there, and it's susankennard.co.uk, so just find it there. But it would be lovely to have more teachers and carers and grandparents and parents that come together and have a conscious conversation about what they want for their children. Yeah, and I think the schooling system's changing as well, big time. I mean, I think everything's going to change, so it's probably very good what's happening, you know. Well, it is very good. Of course it's very good. It's an amazing awakening that we're all going through. So what do you think, Deb? Do you think we should call in the teams, and you'll call in your divine people, and what should we do? Have a bit of fun and see what happens?
Sure.
Okay, so who do you have? Do we want to ask Jesus some questions, or should we just let him talk?
Yeah, Jesus is here. Always.
Yeah.
Always. And he is he's saying no worries. Something he tells me all the time is, I got this. He's saying that the world is really a beautiful place. And part of the journey is accepting that nothing is wrong, although we look at things as if they are.
Yeah.
But is really taking in the magnificence of this world and the miracle of you and your life, because all there is light. And light is having this amazing physical experience. And the closer you get to understanding that you are just light, that you're one with the Creator, your journey will be so much easier and bountiful and loving. So it is here for you to enjoy and bring forth all the love and light, and not worry about the details of what you're seeing, for they're always in divine order, always. And you are loved and guided and cherished and blessed. Enjoy your journey. Take it in and leave the worries to us.
Wow. That was so beautiful.
Thank you.
So it kind of just basically says, just get on with it and let us deal with I sort of see a tuning fork here. So let us deal with the tuning of what's going on in the world, and you just be there and be that light. Shall I see what my team have to say? I call them my team upstairs, which of course they're not upstairs, but it's just a fun thing. Okay. I can see Mother Mary here, so I feel she will be coming in to sing, but I just, okay. So this is the Palladian Collective, and they were actually the first beings that worked with me with light codes and light language. Okay, so we are very pleased that you are here asking these questions, and it was part of your human experience to ask many questions and to experience the contrast that you have on this beautiful earth. We wish for you to see deeper down into the earth's experience and to understand that all around you is beauty, even in the dark mud, and even in the dark days and the clouds and the rain and the storms. We wish for you to see this as beautiful, to see this as all-encompassing as our love shining through. We know that this is something that some of you find hard, and this channel too sometimes finds it hard to see the beauty in those storms, in those experiences that you may watch on your screens, in those experiences you may hear others talking about. But we would like to invite you to understand that this is all part of the beautiful plan of expansion. And so you have chosen at this time to step into this role as light beings here, having this human experience. And you are doing this for the good of creation. You are doing this for the good of humanity. And you are doing this for the good of the whole universe, because you are one with this unified universal light, and there is no separation. And when you remember, as we know those listening do, remember that you are this pure light, that we are you and you are we, that there is no separation. And with your leaders that represent change, we would ask you to love those leaders, love everyone on your planet, no matter what vibrational words come from them, no matter what you feel in your heart space. We wish for you to remember that you are pure love, and so are they, as we are all one. And so the love that you shine out to these leaders at this time will benefit the whole of humanity. This was the plan. The plan was to remember that everyone has the ability to shine love. And with that love, even for those that make you feel a sense of darkness within, we ask you to shine your love and your light towards them. Because as you shine your light and love towards them, you receive it back, and more love and light shines from your heart. We wish for you to remember that you are pure abundance, and that abundance is purely you, that ask and it is given, as this channel says many times to others. We would like to tell you that you can just ask us for guidance, because we are always there with you, for you, and part of you. And so it is.
Such a beautiful message.
I'll have to watch it over because, like you, it comes through us and not us, if you know what I mean, in our conscious thought.
Such a beautiful message. And it's the same message said in two different ways.
Yeah, as it always is. I think Mother Mary's here, and well, I know she's here, and when she comes in, Deb, she comes in because she wishes to hold the space and heal the suffering child part of us. And so would it be okay if I just allow her to step in and just do some healing and an activation for everybody listening, for all of us as well? So let's just see. So if you just want everyone to put their hands on their heart and just receive Mother Mary's love. This comes in the form of light tones. So you'll hear sound, and it's kind of like song, really. And she comes in, and just understand that she comes in with pure love. And if you haven't experienced this before, you may feel some vibrations in your heart. You may feel nothing, but you will feel a sense of peace. Okay. So just take a deep breath and just come back into your heart space. And it may be that you just feel a little bit more peace. And what I was getting there as she was coming in, of course I can't speak at the same time, but what I was getting a sense of was that as we heal our childhood parts of us, then we essentially are healing the anger and frustration and fear in the world. So that's what I was getting a sense of, is that it was almost like the war-torn energy she was coming in with, and she was coming in to heal the war-torn parts of us that we hold, you know, from all of those childhood parts that felt they were in war or battle, and that are playing out now, of course. So the sense I was getting was war-torn, a war-torn feeling that she was coming in to heal. Did you feel that?
Oh my goodness. It really resonated right into my heart. And I felt it really strong. Thank you for that.
Yes,
It's
thank you.
beautiful. Yeah, no, it was felt very fully in my heart. And yes, it's all these child aspects that are inside
Hang
us.
out.
All the cognitive dissonance. It's like one's going, well, I don't want to do that. And the other one's going, yeah, I do want to do that.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't do that, or give me back this, or this is
Yeah.
mine, or blah, blah, blah. So it are these child aspects that are creating all of this dissonance within us.
It's
So
incredible, isn't it? You know, 'cause if we get into fights with anyone, you know, in our human experience, you know, then that verbal fight or that physical fight is just the child that didn't get their needs met, you know, that just really didn't get their needs met at that time. You know, and something that I find really helpful for people, if people want to do this, is just to say, you know, to that child, I'm so sorry that you didn't get your needs met. I'm so sorry, you know, really just put your hands on your heart and just say, I'm so sorry that you didn't get your needs met at that time. I'm so sorry that you're angry, you know, or whatever emotion it is. And I find that really helpful, because we don't do that for ourselves, do we? We don't say those words. We don't say I'm sorry. Well, we say sorry to our children, but and for our children, I find myself saying it to my children. I'm really sorry that happened to you, you know, being very conscious about their emotions. But I don't think in our generation, or in many generations, perhaps that wasn't said, you know, to children. So we're having to say it for ourselves, you know, as we understand more who we are.
Yeah, it's validating yourself. It's validating the experiences that you have that created pain or misunderstanding, or feelings of unworthiness, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And that's a whole journey in itself, about going in and doing all of that heart work with each parts of yourself that are still kind of controlling us, that you're not even aware that they're controlling you. Because everything is a repetitive energetic pattern. Everything in your life is playing out as an energetic pattern.
That's
And
right.
whatever's not healed, it's going to keep showing up, with a new wrapper on it, a new person,
Louder.
louder, yeah. Show up over and over again until that is healed. And it's really learning how to be the best mom or dad and validate yourself. And you know, if I've asked those parts of myself when I remember, what is it that you need from me? What is it that I'm not giving to you that you are just yanking away at wanting to be heard? What is it that you need from me? And a lot of times it's attention, is knowing that there's an inner child there that wants something that you're not doing for yourself.
Yeah. And that's really beautiful, because, you know, if people want to do that, they can just, so if they do feel an emotion coming up, maybe when they've experienced something outside of themselves, and they feel that emotion, you know, what child part of you, you know, really needs, what do you need from me? What do you need, you know? And it might be a nice snuggle up and watch a movie with somebody on the sofa, or it might be just a bit of peace, a walk by the sea. I like to walk by the sea. So it might just be that, you know, and it might be just as simple as that. But I just want to say something about bodies, because it's just my belief, really, and what my guides say to me, but that our body was always a barometer, always a dial, and always that, you know, radio wave that was going to tell us when there was a little bit of us that needed tweaking, regarding our mission, of course, but unconditional love for ourselves, don't you think? And so it is our job, isn't it, ourselves, our own healing journey, that no one can fix us, no one can heal us. It's just that we can do that by understanding that our body is trying to tell us something, and it's for us to listen to it. So if our heart is beating really fast, if our body is aching, which it might be at the moment because of this big shift going on. So it might be bringing up some old stuff that is showing itself in your body. So it could be that as well, couldn't it? That, you know, people could really start to not only listen to that child, but listen to the body. I think, you know, I love working with that personally, with people. But so the ache and pain is like, well, what do you need from me? You know, that ache and pain in my elbow or my back or my feet. What didn't you get? What do you want? You know, and it might be vitamin C, right? It could be vitamin C, could be vitamin D, could be whatever. But it might not be to say my body's let me down. And it might not be to say, oh, this pain is unbearable. Although it might be, because sometimes it's good to acknowledge that as well. Yeah. But yeah, I just felt drawn to talk about the body there. And I think our DNA is changing, don't you? I think there's a big shift going on in our crystalline light field and our body DNA. Do you?
Yeah, I like to look at it, and actually most of my meditations, I'm told that I need to see myself as light.
Yeah, so just bypass everything.
It's just
yeah,
bypassing and understanding that that's all you are, is light, and to visualize yourself as light. And for a while I was like seeing myself as a light body, so I would be like translucent, and then I would all light, and I heard, no, you're just light. Don't even put the body in there. Just see yourself as light, because that's all that exists.
Yeah, it is all that exists, but it's also like we've chosen this jacket, haven't we? I mean, you know, we've chosen this bit of us that so we can walk around the world with this light. And so I think definitely, you know, to see ourselves as light, but I think also definitely to acknowledge the part of the body that, like, if it's, I don't know, in our wrists or our hands or our head, or but then that's the scientist in me. So that's the science background in me, where I'm like, I want to look at evidence. I want to look at, you know, why is it showing me that? What healing peak is that? What emotion have I made acceptance with, and my body's showing that message, like a headache or something, you know? So I like to look at the science of it. So I stay with that, but I think definitely for people to really see themselves as light is really important.
Yeah, really, I think important. It's part of moving forward and accepting the truth of who you are. So the body, I think, is really important. I'm really grateful for my body. I like to be able to walk freely and do all the things that I want to do. And you know what Jesus said is, if you're having pain in your body, it's because there is something in your mind that is creating that. It is a belief or something that needs to be corrected in the way that you're thinking about something, or whether you're holding on to shame or guilt, or whether you're holding on to some old stuff that needs to be moved out.
Absolutely.
So
sometimes ancestral, you know, like you've brought in with you and epigenetically, and definitely I would say that 100%. It's definitely emotionally. Thought first, physical next. Yeah.
So important. And then I was having a thought too, going back to masks. Maybe that's a way for all of us to see ourselves as one. If we all look the same, we all got a mask plastered on our face, right? It's all one.
With different colors, and some of them are designer, and some of them are surgical, and some of them are
But they're all one. We're all doing the same thing. We're all being asked to do the same thing.
So is that one of the problems then? Because some countries are not, and we've only just, you know, the UK always takes longer to catch up with things, but or decide to do things. That's what the UK does. But is it because there's quite a lot of confusion, and some countries are, some countries aren't? It's not like a blanket kind of, every single person has to wear this, you know, and then maybe there'll be more acceptance with it, you know? Yeah, maybe, but there's always been, I mean, you know, going to school, there's rules to be broken, you know, bunking off school. Not that any kid should do that, by the way, I'm talking here. But in the old days when I was at school, you know, we wouldn't bunk off and go out of the school, but we would not perhaps go to a lesson or something and sit under a tree, and I used to paint and I'd do art then. But, you know, that was a rule breaking, right? We weren't supposed to do that. No one really cared, but you weren't supposed to do that. But are we breaking the rules by, are we always going to break the rules? I mean, are we always going to test the world? I think we always will.
Yeah, I think we're here to challenge the world and break the 3D constructs that we all learn to believe. So everything we do is challenging the possibilities of what's available, the limitlessness of yourself and everything. And so, yeah, I think that's what we're here to do, is to challenge the world to think differently, to open up that that love is expansive and it's infinite in what it is. So I think that we'll continue to do that. I mean, even, you know, us having this conversation and somebody that's not awake listening to it might be like, oh my God, what are they saying? Right? Or,
we're pretty kind of normal people, really, aren't we? I mean, you know, I have 2 kids, I have a puppy, I was like, it's, you know, we're pretty normal people. We just happened to be here to help people understand and awaken who they are. And that's a really beautiful mission. And if you're listening to this and you don't know what your mission is, you have one. It might not be what we do, but it will be a really special reason for being here. You know, I do believe everyone that's here at this time, you know, this is definitely here to really serve and to help others. So Deb, what are you up to at the moment? How can people get hold of you, and what are you up to? Well, you have great podcasts. Tell us about your podcasts.
Well, I have 2. I have one on Enlightened World Network, and it's called Divine Relationship Recovery, and it's all about your relationship with God, or whatever you call source, creator, and yourself, and your relationship with other peoples. And it is you know, based on higher consciousness and what I've been taught. And typically God gives me a topic each week with text, and I have somebody on and we talk about the message that I've been taught for that day. And then on Angel Heart Radio, I have a podcast called The Divinely Ordered Life. And I have books out there on Amazon under the same title, A Divinely Ordered Life, which is really my spiritual journey, with lots of journal entries with Jesus and God and the angels having discussions. So it's fun and it's interesting to watch how the journey unfolds. But I'm on Enlightened World Network a lot, doing a meditation a day.
Which
Susan joins us regularly, which I'm very grateful for. And,
I love being on there.
Yeah, so we have a lot of programming on Enlightened World Network, and it's there's something for everybody there. Yeah,
I know it is, and it's global, of course. Enlightened World is global. So what I'm up to is obviously the children's mindfulness meditation group, which I'm, you know, going to create and talk to people tomorrow night. Anyone's interested in talking to me about that. And I have a podcast called The Spiritual Awakener, and it's growing. It's really, you know, my intention was to help people have a conversation about spiritually awakening and how they perhaps had a normal everyday life and realized that they were so much more than that. And I've had you on it. I've had loads of guests on it. It's really exciting. So if you want to go onto my Spiritual Awakener podcast, that'd be amazing. What else am I doing? Well, I'm always doing lots of things. So I'm going to be on with you again. What day? In June sometime?
June 28th.
28th. 28th.
Transformation.
Day of Transformation. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. definitely. And I'm on Facebook pretty much all the time. I have a YouTube channel, which is just my name, and you might be watching it on this now. And if people want to get a hold of me, it's at susankennard.co.uk. I do full moon and new moon activation meditations, which I love, and they're donation basis only, so you just have to sign up to the newsletter. And I have lots of groups that I run and work individually with people. So what's your website, Deb, so people can get you?
DebbieNGoldberg.com. And I too also work with people, and I'll be starting a bunch of master classes soon too. So lots of fun stuff going on.
See, so we're always being guided to do whatever shows up. And this is the thing about being on your mission, isn't it? Like if you're listening to this and you feel, well, what is it to be on your mission? Well, mission is getting up every day of the week and not feeling like you're working, and feeling like you just create, you show up, you have fun, you make a difference to people's lives, which is amazing. I love to see people heal. It's my favorite thing in the world. And you just feel, I don't know what the word is, but just that sense of knowing and peace, would you say?
Yeah. It is feeling like you're finally doing your passion, that you know what you came here to do.
Yeah.
And everyone has a specific calling or passion that is your unique gifts, and that they all will come to fruition. And it can be helped along a little bit the more that you go inside and want to work with your guides to get to that place, but it will come. And it doesn't matter what you do. You don't have to do anything big or great. You know, it's being the best mom you can be. It's about being heart-centered. And if you're heart-centered, whatever your job is, whatever you do, whatever your role is, you are serving.
Yeah. I know what I hadn't mentioned was my book I channeled, Awaken the Light Within. And I definitely think that we're putting our sparkly feet somewhere, you know. And when I channeled that book, I had no idea I kind of had an idea, but I didn't know what they were channeling, as your books. And when I read it through, it's like a journey of healing. And so the point is that we're here on a journey of healing, aren't we? So whatever mission we're meant to be on, we are healing ourselves along the way of finding our mission or realizing our mission. And then when we have our mission, we're still healing ourselves along the way of living our mission. So we don't really ever get it done, do we? But we get it done to the place where we have joy and excitement. And we're not saying, oh, I've got to go to work, or, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself, or, oh, I'm really bored of this job. It's never, ever boring. Ever. No. So it's been great. I think we should leave it there, don't you? I think we've been on quite a while. We could probably talk for hours, but we've loved, we've loved doing this. I've loved doing this, and I hope people enjoyed it. It'd be great to hear from you, to hear if you want us to do it again, or something different. We're open to anything, aren't we, Deb?
We are. We love sharing space together and bringing forth the love and light. And just showing up, which is what the fun bit is. Thanks so much, Deb. I've really loved seeing you, and I will see you very soon. So we'll just turn this off, and we look forward to hearing from everybody. And if you want us to do it again, we will. Much love for now. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.